Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 4 vs 4 on Gorda Calvaria, and I'm going to be playing with the 4th Fallschirmjäger with the balanced deployment type on the Axis side. I thought to myself it'd been a while since I put up any Star Division 2 gameplay footage on the channel, and this game was really fun to play, so I thought I would show it off, and it also allows me to show off what I think is one of the best divisions in the game right now, the 4th Fallschirmjäger. It's not often that I get to play decent divisions in Star Division 2, because when I'm streaming at twitch.tv/VulcanHDGaming, I let the chat basically decide what I'm going to play. So it was a surprise to land on this deck, which is well known for its decent armor and infantry combination. It has strong Italian infantry as well as decent heavy armor. You can get an elephant early on, you've got panthers, you've got tigers. It's got pretty much everything you'd want. You've got Fallschirmjäger for longer range engagements, you've got the Palo d'Assalto, which are like the strongest Italian infantry for close range engagements. You get the picture. You've got a lot of really strong units. I've even got some radio mortars at the start here. So I've got an MG42 on this right hand side, going to get plastered by MG fire and also fire coming in from the T-34-85s. We've got the Palo d'Assalto in the town, Fallschirmjäger, Fallschirmführer. Same setup on the left side with two of these AB-43s. Behind that I've got two of these Stug M42s. Big fan of these due to their high rate of fire, and they can really slice and dice through transports at the start of the game and also provide nice fire support against support weapons. I love the way this is perfectly demonstrating the use of these guns. So once that hits, that will start to do some decent damage, kind of like a IG on steroids. Well, I say on steroids. An IG with 2-star veterancy would be firing pretty much just as fast. Unfortunately, this T-34-85 does one-shot crew kill my M42 here, so that's no fun. But the Maxim does go down, and I did get a transport snipe before that got hit. It does not get killed straight away because the T-34-85, whilst it does have line of sight, does not actually, well, actually can't see the M42 because it's not like firing or moving. So it's actually got the stealth that it needs to stay alive, which is kind of hilarious. Kubel MG on the left hand side here. I've got the Aufklärer MG42, yeah, the two mortars that I said at the start, and I brought up a couple of extra ones afterwards. And I've also got the NAG as well. This is a 37mm on the back of an armoured truck. Very cool indeed. I did also get myself a recon aircraft, but I believe during the game I actually forgot about it for a pretty long time, so you'll have to bear with me there. Got some Guastatori Pera here. These are just going to be holding this flag for us in the light cover. There wasn't really any intention for me to engage these. They were simply here to put pressure on that flag to make sure that we hold it, and at the start of the game we get off to an 18-14 start, which is nice. Grim Guy on my left here, he's also going to be using the 4th Fallschirmjäger, opted to go for a Panther A in phase A to give him a hand. He's trying to move up with his Paracadutisti here, which are going to be moving into the heavy cover. Apologies, I'm probably going to pronounce these wrong again. Please feel free to correct me. I have a hard time remembering them. 81mm mortars are going to be, of course, hitting the Sapere, since we can see them with the Fallschirm Aufklärer. Using these Tullman Aufklärer squads is a really good way to find out information. They do have the very high optics with the exceptional stealth, and that means that they are hard to spot whilst they are able to spot enemy units nicely. They are even better with higher veterancy. So in this case, I'm just about in the right range to see anything on the edge of cover there in the heavy cover. But at the start, not too much pressure really put on my position. Ketch here was trying to use his T-34-85 to get into position to like shoot my Stugs. And he obviously does need to break them down, because at closer ranges they could probably start to do some damage. They'd have to be pretty damn close to do that, though, I say that. The AP round like 500 meters might have a chance to penetrate the front armor. It's more the side shots that you'd have to be worried about. So anyway, this does provide a lot of long range fire support. It doesn't allow me to do too much. I didn't believe that I had any other tanks in my tank tab early on, but I did have my elephant, and that's what I'm going to be bringing in. So that's what you can hear down here. The big old elephant. This will be my tool. that I'm going to be using to take out the T-34-85 1944s, because these T-34 1944s, they have 2,000 meter range, so it's very difficult for my M42s to engage them anyway at the 1,750 meter range. So I'm going to be just softening up my opponent in the meantime with the mortars, and we'll get the elephant into position to deal with the armor. And once the armor's dealt with, I can start to utilize the AB-43s faster and get them on target of some of the infantry squads as well. I've also managed to get the Guercitori into this cover here, which is going to allow us to hold that flag even better. Originally the Sapere was pushed out by that mortar fire, so it allowed me to just walk in there and take it, which was nice. Also trying to obviously soften up the Chenya Bashlati over on this left side, which will then allow me to move up my infantry on that side if I wanted to. But the idea is basically to target anything that is in radio range in order to do damage. So in this case, targeting the M2A1. Anything that I can see and kill with the mortars is a good target, because it just means that when I do attack, I'm going to have less targets to deal with, particularly these M2A1s, because they are armoured, so my infantry is not going to really be able to deal with them at range. I would have to use armour, which is then currently countered by the T-34s. So you can see the whole process is going through my mind right now. I need to break down the T-34s, and then I can move my infantry across the open to engage the enemy at close ranges, which have their fire support taken out by the mortars. I'm also in this case mortaring the T-34-85 to make it less accurate. Also, the mortar barrage meant that the T-34-85 had already taken damage, so it got one shot. The Elephant does only have 8 damage, so it can't actually one-shot a T-34-85 unless the T-34-85 is already damaged, since T-34-85s have 10 health. So the mortar rounds coming down on top of it is what caused them to, well, caused the Elephant to get the one-shot kill. Also, it was a bit lucky with the accuracy, because he's only had 45% accuracy. So, yeah, that was good. Anyway, moved it up. It's now got 2 veterancy, because I've got the Fallschirmführer. I have brought up the Dingo. That's going to be able to provide me with the extra help, so that's nice. That command radius also going to be affecting the mortars, allowing them to aim faster. But my Guercitori get pushed out by the Sapere. I'm going to have to fall them back, and the Sapere are going to be able to engage them. Ideally, what I should have done there is had the mortars engage the Sapere so they can't kill the Guercitori, especially with the M2A1 coming around. Like getting rid of the Sapere early on would have been good. I'm going to be targeting these 2 Gvardia squads instead, and I got some more infantry that's going to come up and replace this, and we'll make another push into there later. The main priority is just me keeping an infantry squad here, but I was just getting impatient and making that push up originally. So the Gvardia are going to get moved. Ketch was definitely on point with moving his units, or trying to move his units out of the way. It's just these radio mortars are really effective in acquiring targets very quickly, and then get a lot of rounds on target very quickly as well. They fire, you know, in volleys of 5, and if you place even just slightly behind the target, then it will often take damage. So in this case, he probably thought I was trying to kill his M2A1 again, but not this time around. T-34-85 going to get a shot onto my M42, unfortunately. Takes out that one. So, Ketch trying to make moves to get line of sight onto my units, but can't really put himself in the way of the Elephant, because it's not going to be too great. Now, I didn't bring in the Elephant early on, because in a lot of games what will happen, if you bring in, say, a King Tiger or an Elephant at the start of the game, people will purposefully not engage it, and therefore it doesn't really get value. Like, yes, it holds the line, but all it's going to do is become a big arty target, because you can't really push with it either. I can't like move this Elephant aggressively past the town, because it's going to get side shot. So you end up in this like really weird predicament where you have a heavy tank, but you can't make ground with it. Like, yes, you could potentially smoke the sides off it, and then, you know, continue to push off, but then you leave yourself vulnerable to an actual advance from enemy tanks to come in on your flank at close range, and that would be really bad for an Elephant. So you're kind of limited in your tactical abilities with an Elephant. Same with the King Tiger. It has the same problems, even though it has a turret, just because it sort of turns and moves so slowly. But yeah, so I brought it in secondary, mainly due to deal with the T-34-85 at a distance, because Ketch was playing that game already. And you can see that he's struggling to make ground with that tank. Because what he really should be doing in this sort of situation is screening himself with infantry, making sort of an infantry push, and then capturing the town, and then he can move his T-34 up once he knows where the infantry is. Anyway, P-47 is going to be coming in with a rocket strike early on. Really lucky crit there, does track break my elephant. So the elephant's knocked out for the time being, can't really do anything. It's kind of facing in the right direction, thankfully, which means if this T-34 comes over to the left, it's still firing into the front armor. But it's going to be really tough for me to do anything about that, so I'm going to have to get my Kubel up here to fix it ASAP. Unfortunately for us, we do lose a player at this point. Taki does disconnect. I believe his game crashed or something, or he just like disconnected. But he was controlling the right-hand side over here. So we were kind of on the clock a little bit when it came to pushing, so I really had to kind of try my best throughout the rest of this game. Enemy counter battery does start coming in onto the mortars. I believe Ketch had enough of those mortars hitting his targets. The T-34 that I was mortaring here was forced to fall back. I do manage to get my elephant fixed up, so that was nice. So yeah, the T-34-85 moving over to this right-hand side. I do have the HE-111 flying about back here now, providing some decent recon. Like, I wouldn't have been able to see that T-34, for example, because technically the Fallschirm Aufklärer isn't in line of sight, but the HE-111, when it moved closer, did spot that for me. So you can see it spotting it again there. This is the beauty of aircraft recon, is that they don't have to worry as much about line of sight. But since we have now moved into Phase B, I do have more armor up my sleeve. So I've decided to bring in Panthers. Panthers will of course be able to fight the T-34-85-9044s at range. Although the T-34-85s, since they are cheaper, you see a T-34-85-9044 is 110 points and 150 points for a Panther A. The T-34-85s in pairs can really get good value against a single Panther. If you trade like one T-34-85 but you manage to kill the Panther, you get like that 40 points. So that's often something that you would want to do, is double team the Panthers the best you can. Or at least always be like at a numerical advantage over the Panthers when you engage them. I've also brought up a Sturmpanzer. This is a 150mm gun that is great for cleaning out infantry and support weapons, and does have the 115mm of frontal armor, so nice for dealing with enemy AT. And one thing I was doing here with the Fallschirmjäger is I'm moving them slightly deeper into cover so that I can keep shooting at the Sapperly while not being under fire by the half-tracks. Ketch realises this though and moves forwards his M2A1 on the right hand side, so both do end up getting pinned, but it did allow me to pin his Sapperly as well. I've got the Sturmpanzer coming in with the shots, and you can also see the mortar fire coming in on target already, so it allowed me to delay the enemy forces just enough to get the fire support on target, which was very important. Panther A is also now going to be pushing up to engage these half-tracks and take them out. Meanwhile, Ketch is just going to be trying to keep that out of line of sight. Nice shot by the elephant. Does pop a half-track there. But IL-2's now coming in to try and bomb my infantry. No infantry left in the tree line though, so not going to be effective this time around. T-34-85 did move forwards. Unfortunately missed. He was probably quite unlucky actually to miss that shot that he fired out of the light cover there, and I managed to get 2 shots on target, so T-34-85 does go down. So a decent engagement for me. Knocked out the one that matters. I am still getting counter battery though, so there goes the second of those mortars. Now, since I am coming under attack by a lot of these IL-2s, and we saw the P-47s already, I brought up a bunch of these AS-42 recon vehicles. These have the Breda 20mm, and they are fantastic at infantry support because they have both a machine gun and a 20mm, but they can also fire at aircraft, so they are fantastic close-range AA support for armor. because they have the recon that can spot infantry, they can also engage infantry themselves, as well as engage aircraft. And they also have the 5mm of frontal armor, which means they are impervious to light arms fire. They can only be killed by something like a PTRS, for example. I see the Panzerschreck here. Don't obviously want to get too close to that because it will kill my Panther, but I know that it's far enough away that it doesn't matter at the moment, so just trying to get the shots on target. Unfortunately, not enough rounds come down in time, so the Panzerschreck is going to get away with that. Meanwhile, on the right, AI is struggling a little bit here, so Yag's going to be sending a few troops to go support that. The AS-42s, here we go, just melting the Sapele squad back there. T-34-76 on the left side did manage to get a side shot into my Panther A. That was unfortunate, but this Panther A is now engaged in the T-34-85, and I'm looking for a couple of penetrations here. I do have a little bit of an advantage in the penetration department, so I'm more likely to bounce than he is. You can see there, managed to miss the second shot, but I hit the first one, so that was okay. That is damaged, and it's going to be a lot less effective going forward. Two more Fallschirmjäger have arrived to help push forwards. These are the longer range engagement tools, and this is what basically he needed to do when pushing here. Take his longer range troops, like whether it be like Gavardia DP or just standard Gavardia, and run them towards the enemy so they reveal themselves in the town, and then you can start putting pressure on them with the fire support that you have. Whereas his T-34-85s couldn't see anything, so they couldn't really do anything to help in the early game, and it's allowed me to build up this force that I'm then putting pressure on him instead. So he put himself basically on the back foot by not being more aggressive into the town. There is also obviously a chance you can contest the town early on, particularly with fast vehicles, but it depends on the division that you're playing, and I don't believe the second really has many options in that department. Anyway, I saw the Maxim aiming at me, so I unload the Fallschirmjäger. That was just in time because the T-34-85 took a shot as well. M4A1 is going to be engaging me from the right-hand side. This is a different player. Will be taking out my AS-42. Unfortunately missing two shots. I'm going to try and get that out of line of sight ASAP. But that's going to end up going down, as you can see. Panther now, moving across. Going to be engaging the T-34-85s. The T-34-85s here do have extra veterancy. Focke-Wulf does come in with a bombing strike onto the M4A1 and kills it, which was really lucky for me. I didn't realise that it had already taken damage, but the bombing strike most likely wouldn't have killed that in one go if it hadn't taken damage, so the likelihood is Yag had already hit it with something. But Panther is going to die. T-34 at close range does get the job done. Also my SBW AB-43s, these are fresh ones that I brought up. These aren't the ones that were at the town, and they're going to die really, really fast because there are a lot of T-34-85s. And Ketch is kind of doing the right thing at the moment. He's building up enough T-34-85s that he can double team my Panthers, or in this case quad team my Panthers. And one thing that you can do against the 4th Fallschirmjäger, particularly in large team games, is get away with draining them of heavy armor. Because whilst you do have Panthers and Tigers, you don't have as many as some of the other more specialized armored divisions. But yeah, managing to get lucky on these bounces for sure. And that's going to allow me to take out another T-34. I've already taken out 2 with this Panther. I did lose one of my own Panthers, and the Elephant covered my left flank against T-34. The other thing that's been going on that you might have noticed is the Fallschirmjägers have been killing a lot of the support weapons. So took out the ZIS-2, took out the 37mm AA. Panther A does eventually take a penetration from the T-34, so I'm going to have to fall that back. But this Panther A comes in clutch on the flank and gets the kill there with the 2-star veterancy, so that was really good. P-47 going to be coming in again for another rocket run. We got also the P-47s of Helen coming in for the bombing strikes, and that's going to do a lot of damage to my Fallschirmjäger. But another T-34 does go down. I'm basically sneaking this Panther forwards so I can engage each of the T-34-85s one by one. This is also 2 vet, so it's going to have a higher rate of fire. And in this case, shots come in from both sides, and we get the kill there nice and quick. So that was really good. So a lot of the T-34-85s that my opponent's now brought in, broken down successfully, and that's going to give me a hell of a lot of power in the middle of the ground, here, because I've got my 2 Panthers still alive, but he's lost all of his heavy armor that he's invested in so far. And so my AS-42s are quite happy to just sit here and continue engaging all the infantry to push them out. And we're going to be continuing to move forwards. Elephant's also benefiting now from the 2-star veterancy since I'm moving forwards the Fallschirmjäger. And that's going to be hitting the T-34-76 nicely. The other benefit, of course, of extra veterancy is accuracy. So not just rate of fire, but accuracy, and that allows me to get all these shots I need on target to do plenty of damage to these T-34-76s. Now it does take 2 shots from an elephant to kill the T-34-76, even though it's a lighter tank. But the rate of fire really helping me out there. I might say that I'm low on ammo. That's mainly due to HE shells, but in this case I have the HE shells turned off so that my elephant doesn't automatically aim at any of the infantry. It only aims at armor when it is showing. This is a good trick if you are ever using heavier tanks like King Tergis elephants, even just like Panthers or Tigers, or the equivalent like IS-2s on the Soviet side. If you turn off the HE, then your elephant or IS-2, whatever tank it is, will only aim towards armor. It won't aim towards infantry automatically. Panther going to be able to get a nice shot there onto the T-34-85. The penetration really coming in handy at the longer range engagements. The ideal engagement for a T-34-85 1944 and like when you're attacking a Panther A is probably like the 1750 meter range, because then you have enough penetration that you can penetrate. Well, it's like a Panther at max range is still going to penetrate you anyway, so you want to basically close the range a little bit to have a more fair engagement without giving an accuracy bonus too much to the Panther. Also, veterancy, of course, helps a ton, so that's something you should always be prioritizing. P-47's coming in again with the rocket strike. There's 3 of them this time, so I can't really stop them from getting their rockets down, and they are going to kill that Panther A. More bombers coming in as well. Going to be taking out more of my infantry. IL-2s from Ketch also going to be able to get the bombs onto the AS-42 and the Pak-40. So a lot of damage coming through from these aircraft. I also lose the MG-42 on the left there. And I also lost another unit over here earlier, but still continuing to push forwards with the Elephant. After the P-47 rocket planes come in, I know that I have a little bit of ground to continue the fight. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a scary issue that you might find is if you do have your HE turned off, then sometimes your elephants won't your like strong tanks, for example, won't auto face to the AT guns. So it might give the ZIS-2 here an opportunity to side shot like this, because my elephant's like auto facing away because it doesn't have the range to engage it, and that can often, you know, get you killed. So be wary of that as well. There are uses for turning it on and off. Don't always have it off, for example, because you will lose tanks to AT guns unnecessarily. But yeah, double Fallschirmjäger coming in on the left now to help the push onto this flag. Fallschirmjägers, though, still doing great at the long-range engagement against the Gvardia DP, and I'm managing to keep this Fallschirmjäger in the cover here so that I'm covering multiple enemy flags now, which is great. Sturmpanzer finds a shot onto the Saperi Commotti as well. It's a big loss for him because it's going to take away the veterancy from the AT guns nearby, particularly the M5 gun that was brought in to help him, which will have the APCR. Focke-Wulf on the left comes in with the bombing strike to help clean up the infantry gun, so that's going to allow the Fallschirmjägers to freely push forwards and find whatever's ahead of them, if anything, because currently Klipka on the left here is having a hard time against Grimguy. Grimguy doing a great job with the 4th Fallschirmjäger as well, so I don't think Klipka was really reinforcing this area, so able to just push forwards with the Fallschirmjäger. Going to be using the Kubel MG to kind of scout this out. This is the great thing about bringing in your Aufkläders with Kubel MGs, which have the recon capability as well, because they are able to like basically YOLO ahead, and you don't have to worry too much because they're only worth 5 points. Like, it's not a big deal if they die, but often they can find out a lot of information before they do. Sturmpanzer being engaged by the T-34-85 is not an engagement that I want to keep doing, mainly because the penetration of the T-34 is more than enough to get through the Sturmpanzer at closer ranges. So going to be backing off and trying to keep that alive. Got all my AA here, it's firing away, doing its best to try and keep this elephant alive. But bombing strikes coming in from Ketch the P-47 swarm from Heron. I'm just really hoping that I can at least shoot down the P-47 there. I was kind of targeting it with a couple of my nags, but wasn't able to get the kill. Now 2 more P-47s coming in, and well, Elephant's going to go down. It couldn't live forever. It did its job for the early game, and hoping that I can shoot down at least one of these. I managed to take out one. That definitely helps out in future for my other heavy armor pieces like the Panthers and Tigers. So 3 nags wasn't enough with an AS-20, so bringing up another one. And I also had an 88 there, but another 88 also going to be coming in, just going to get all of my AA down, so at least I can start picking off some of these aircraft. Like, even if I don't manage to suppress them all in one go, like, at least I'll be able to kill them. That's basically my train of thought. Like, 2 of them were even 2 vet pack 37 mils as well, so I was really hoping that that would work. Alas, it did not. Pack 40 is going to be trying to engage T-34-85, and Sturmpanzer, one of them goes down, but Pack 40 manages to return the favour, even though it was almost fully pinned. That was nice. Did manage to get a few lucky shots here in this game, and also managed to get some lucky bounces as well, so it definitely did go in my favour quite a bit. But able to get my Fallschirmjäger really far forwards. Kubel MG is still alive, even though it did that sort of silly rush up the road. And so in this sort of situation, you just get so much value out of this Kubel, because it's scouting the road for me before the Alpha Colour even has line of sight. But another, yeah, this 88 coming in. I've got this 88. We're going to have like 3 88s. I bring in another 88, and this is where the wall really starts to come together. We've got the Fallschirmjäger backed up by the AT guns, backed up by the AA, some of which is also AT, and then you have the Panthers mixed in as well, like the heavy armor as well, plus a little bit of mortar force support further behind, and the Focke-Wulfs for bombers. So this is a really, really tough position for Ketch to push in with, even though he has like all of that AA backing him up, or all of the aircraft backing him up from Heron. It's going to be difficult, because even the T-34-85s here are going to be put under threat by the 88s, not just the aircraft. So I'm moving this up really far. The idea was basically to put it in a position where if this T-34-85 comes up the road, that the 88 can just engage it immediately and get the damage done that way. I was also obviously giving it an attack move order there to move forwards, so it can potentially just cover the road from the light cover instead. But Fallschirmjäger on the way to provide the veterancy for that 88. 88s really benefit a lot from veterancy, because the percentage gain from veterancy, well, the gain you get from veterancy is percentage based. So they already have 16 round per minute rate of fire, or 10 round per minute rate of fire on their main gun. So that is what gets multiplied by the percentage. Anyway, double 88 against the T-34-85. You can probably tell how that goes. 1 penetration already coming down there. Meanwhile, on the right side, 88's already killed the BA-10M. Managed to get a loader knock onto the T-34-85. Unfortunately, don't kill it as soon as I could have, but still managed to get it done. The 88 did take 3 damage. Now, one thing that is something to bear in mind is that you can overwhelm 88s pretty easily with tanks. When it's like a 1v1, an 88 is probably going to win. But when it becomes like 2v1, tanks actually suppress and do more damage to AA units. So, like, than normal units would. So that's something you can really take advantage of. Anyway, IL-2 going to be coming in with the cluster HE there, which is going to force me back from the engagement with the Gavardia, which I was winning, but the 2v1 there from the Fallschirmjäger really doing a good job. Kubel MG going to be engaging the Gavardia in the open. And since these Gavardia only have a DP-28, this Kubel's actually not going to do a half bad job with its MG-42 there. An absolute champion he was. Firing away. Anyway, HE-111 coming over just to check and see if there's anything that I need to really worry about. There is still the T-34 sat in the light cover here, but going to be getting a free kill on the right hand side with the 2-star 88. These 2-star 88s can really pull off some nutty shots. Like, if they manage to hit directly, they do a lot of damage, and with the 2-star vet, sometimes they do, and then when they do, you get a lot of damage done. So in this case, managing to make one of the PE2s there, oil leak, the second one coming under a lot of fire. Unfortunately not quite getting shot down. It does definitely take a lot. P-47's coming in again for the strikes here. So I'm going to be looking to try and shoot them down if I can. I get all of my nags to fire at this one, just so at least I can kill one of them. So that was good. And again, making sure that you at least kill one is a really good way to start whittling down your enemy's air force. Like, unless they're a complete air spammer, usually there's a finite amount of aircraft. And in this case, Heron probably already brought all of his aircraft. So he probably had like 4 P-47 bombers, he had like 3 rocket P-47s. And that would be like half of his air tab. So making sure that you kill like 1 or 2 of them just takes away the effectiveness of the rest, because you need like the overwhelming numbers to get past the AA suppression. And then as soon as you don't have that sort of critical mass, you start to struggle. Anyway, in this situation, I believe at the time I was just kind of wondering what I could do next, because there's not really any point in me pushing for this flag. It's too close to the spawner, it's too open, and this one's really difficult to get to as well. So the only logical one that I can really go for is on the right hand side, where these rifles have just come in. So going to be bringing in some Fallschirmjäger that are going to be moving to the right side of the town to maybe probe that later on. And I've also got some more Tigers on the way that are going to be helping to cover the middle. So this is, again, just building up that wall of armor. And Tigers, a little bit easier for his T-34, 85, 1944s to engage at distance, but still going to be able to threaten just as much as the Panthers are. PE2's coming over in a little group here, taking a lot of damage from my AA. Unfortunately, none of them going down. That's why PE2s are very good. Did lose an Opel Blitz there, but managing to kill quite a lot of transports on the right hand side thanks to the Flak 41. A bunch of IL-2 bombers coming in to try and kill my Palo de Salto and Fallschirmjäger, but I pulled them back and I managed to shoot down 2 already. Can he take down the third? It's a lot of 88s, but not quite able to do so. But another 2 IL-2s down, which is really, really good. This 88 currently struggling a little bit. Only needs to probably get 1 shot on target though, because I believe I'd already penetrated this previously. Luckily for him, his artillery, I say luckily, he did target that with artillery, so it's not really luck. But artillery pins it down, T-34 is going to get out. Meanwhile, Ketch moving across the open with the Guardia, and this is the point at which he can't really do much. Unfortunately, the second guards doesn't have much in the way of like 2,000 meter range HE, which is what you would really want in this situation to break down the 88s and also the Tiger, well, maybe not the Tigers, but like the Pak-40. He could definitely Katyusha if he had them, but he's obviously focusing more on tube artillery. Like a Katyusha in this situation, like double Katyusha onto the 88s would probably kill them because they're so close together. So that's something I probably should have personally worried about, but I had so many that I wasn't too concerned. Like we now have 6 88s on the field, and I have 4 nags, and I have the AS-42 as well. Like even shooting down the IS-2 miles away, thanks to just the sheer amount that I have. And these poor Guardia are just getting slaughtered out in the open. It's really, really rough. Now the P-47s of Heron coming in on the left. 5 of them there, so obviously more than I said that he had. But that's a lot of P-47s. Grim guy taking that to the face. Also getting off-mapped at the moment by the Moskaya, since that's what Klipka's playing. The Moskaya are really kind of scary because they have 3 of these 132mm rocket barrage off-maps, which even the best divisions can't deal with. So in the late game here, it looks like Klipka has all his cards of that, and it's starting to chip away at some of Grimguy's forces, particularly with the aircraft coming in as well, because it's unlikely that Heron's going to be attacking into my AA again anytime soon, as he has seen it already, and also Ketch has lost a lot of his aircraft. So I think originally Heron was like bringing them in every time he saw Ketch bringing in his own aircraft, because that again allows for aircraft saturation of the AA. But yeah, there's just a lot there now, and that 88 is slowly getting arty to death. Like Grimguy does have enough here to stop like one, but he doesn't really have much more than that, and also just lost the nag on that left side to the AA, or not AA, off-map artillery. P2 is going to be flying over my AA network a little bit here, definitely going to be taking a lot of damage since the 20 mils and Fleckvilling of Jagdsaws were also firing at it. But again, the beauty of the PE2, they are decent resilience and they are fast and they fly really high, so accuracy is very limited. Flak 41 going to be ended up going down, but we've got 3 minutes left on the clock. We're holding the 19 to 13. On the right hand side, Inky has managed to push forwards quite nicely against Taki, which is our AI. So he's taken pretty much this flag, and I guess maybe not that flag, but yeah, quite a lot of flags on this side. But since on the left we're doing much better, we've taken, you know, all these 4 or 5 flags. It's definitely hard. That Stug just out of my AA range, but that's one P47 coming in on its own, so potentially a little bit of a waste there if I manage to shoot it down, which I do. Fallschirmjäger manages to move up and get a cap on that flag. It was nice. And the both is now currently shooting them, but I'm just going to move them into the middle building there, so we still have the flag under control. So now 20 to 11. We have the double tick. There is 50 seconds left on the clock. My wall is still sitting strong. We've got 4 Tigers now. I believe there is 5 88s left. You've got the Panther. We've got the 4 Nags still alive. It's just the most crazy 4th Fallschirmjäger armored wall I think I've ever put together. And there's just nothing that the second guards can do about it, unless he had like built up his force over the length of the game and then made like a big push into the wall. There's no way, because at this point in the game I'm so far ahead. I probably have about 2,000 to 3,000 more points on the field than Heron does. It's just really, really rough. M5 gun going to be aiming away, but doesn't have line of sight on the Tigers here, so I can't really shoot at them. But after 37 minutes and 33 seconds, that is going to be game, and as you can see, we got 3,655 kills to 1,685 losses, so not quite like 3,000 points ahead, but like 2,000 points ahead, and that is a big difference on that front. You know, he's what, 1,100 points down on his kills to losses, so yeah, that's like the equivalent points that I would have more than him, roughly. So yeah, maybe went a bit overboard with my predictions there of 2,000 to 3,000, but it makes a big difference. There's still a lot of points, and especially when it's like invested into artillery and aircraft and stuff instead of like armor, which a lot of mine was, and also like anti-air that can also act as AA. Like 88s are fantastic, but they can of course be countered. Like the best way to break down that front line for like my front line in that situation is for him to have enough RT that he can pin down the AA and start killing it, and then like start overwhelming with the aircraft again, which is not really something that the second guards does, but he could rely on Heron for that. And then that's when the tanks become vulnerable, because you can start bombing them. You can also start arting them if the AA is already taken care of, and then they get suppressed, then you get side shots, and then, you know, that's when the ball starts rolling again in the opposite direction. Of course, I can start to do things to counter that, but that would be like the ideal series of events. And you could see that I was kind of doing that at the start of the game. You know, I was using the mortars to even pin his tanks so that I had more favorable tank engagements. And then like if I had something else that I had to worry about, then I would mortar that, and then I would engage, and then I would push my infantry ahead of my tanks in order to get ground and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think this was a nice game for sort of demonstrating a lot of like fundamentals of Steel Division 2 and also showing off the 4th Fallschirmjäger in all their glory, because they are an incredibly fun division to play. Didn't get to see much of the close range infantry in combat, which can be really hilarious sometimes since they're really strong, but the Fallschirmjäger is still doing a fantastic job for me here in the more open range engagements. So there we go. That's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.